Yes, we are back again. Last but not least, closest the second section of this afternoon is someone we've worked with for quite a while. Very experienced in system administrator in various technology environments and development stack from Windows to Linux, from .NET to MEAN, with depth knowledge and strong analytic mind, expect the unexpected. Had his hand dirty to understand and solve many incidents in infrastructure area. A natural sysadmin embracing DevOps culture and serverless technology. Owning strong knowledge in Magento infrastructure, here is the profile. From a system operation lead of Busy Indonesia with the topic database scalability in Magento. Please welcome Mr. Cecep Mirasz Albari. Yay!
Halo Mbak Putri, thank you
Halo,
for the
Mas
intro. How are you doing? Hope everyone
Very
else
well, very well.
Yeah.
How are you, Mas?
Yeah, good and feeling so healthy here. Hope the same way too in your place, Mbak. Okay, so thank you for the introduction, Mbak Putri. So hello everyone. Please introduce myself. I'm Mirasz. I'm working in Busy Indonesia now. I'm a system operations lead actually, but my day-to-day role is leading the DevOps and SRE team, also consult development team and the whole technology team in how to implement the software delivery in a high level. So in this chance, I would like to share my thought, my knowledge in a database infrastructure for Magento. It's quite interesting. I mean, I use Magento. I'm involved in various Magento projects since Magento 1.x, I think. I forgot which version, but 1.x. And now Magento is already in a 2.4. And it's a it's not quiet, it's a very big jump from Magento in terms of the database scaling, because in a Magento 1, well, we know that scaling in database is quite bleeding, because we cannot implement multi-master database in a production area. I mean, we need to really find the workaround in the coding level, which is will take many hours for the development team how to handle that, because the nature is Magento is not supporting that kind of stuff yet. But in Magento 2, so many improvements here, and I found that database scaling is also one of the big improvement that Magento already achieved recently. So I would like to share my screen. So here you go, database scalability in Magento. So this topic is covering Magento itself, but I will talk more about the database itself, because I want to show you how, I want to tell you how the scalability in database can be done in Magento 2, especially at 2.3 or 2.4. Scaling beforehand in Magento is we can do the multiple Magento installation, which is 1, 2, 2, 3, or 4 Magento installations. It's already horizontal scaling. It's doable in the past with Magento, but we should mind the local XML file, which is it needs to be synced all across the host or the nodes or the web servers, because Magento only read one local XML files So make sure all the local XML files in all servers in all Magento installation are all the same versions, the same contents also. Okay, the next is database master slave replication can be achieved in the previous Magento 1 also, and this is good, but only able to expand the slave nodes at that time because we cannot scale the master node horizontally since the master database cannot be split yet in the previous Magento versions, or yeah, the old one. So multiple slave node is possible. So we can see on the right side of the slide, there is a master slave database with a vertical scaling information. So there's only one slave. It actually can be more than one slave, but mine it's replication latency because the more the slaves attached to master, the more the master nodes will working to send statements from its bin log to each database slaves. And the only scaling that Magento can achieve from my experience in the past is only vertical scaling in the database. So this is not really good. I mean, database is one of the very important part from any business, especially in e-commerce. So we need to make database as available as possible. I mean, a shit can be happen, database down, the data is broken, the disk is fucked up or something like that. Sorry for that. And yeah, so vertical scaling is the only way to increase the utilization of the database servers at the time, except for the slave nodes. So this is the database scaling beforehand. So this is, I only want to share the downside of the database scaling in the past with Magento. So things to consider here is master node is a single point of failure, which is very dangerous. So that's why usually the master node of the database in Magento application are quite big database. I mean, the specification of the servers is quite big, like maybe at the minimum 4 CPU, 16 gigabytes RAM, and a very big disk, and split it into multiple partitions to put the backup, and yeah, some things like that. But somehow it's only single master node, so it's a single point of failure. And then another things to consider in the previous database scaling is the I/O wait. What is I/O wait? The I/O wait is actually the percentage of processor are waiting on disk. So I/O wait caused by the activity on the disk as well, and also affected by the network throughput as well. So I/O wait is a very important thing if we want to scaling the database. In this case, we implement the master-slave replications. So if we only have one slave, then it's fine. It's really, really fine. But if we want to scale our slave database into 2 or 3 or even more database, so we have to be very careful. We have to double check our master nodes specification. Is it the right CPU number, the right memory number, and some things like that, because replication required more writing on the disk in the master nodes to write the bit log itself to the disk in the master nodes. The next things to consider is we actually doing some abusive manner towards master node, because we attach more than one slave into the master nodes, and master node will work more busier than usual, and when the transaction is going up, the traffic is raised, and not to mention about flash sale, any promo. So in Indonesia, we have a lot of sell event like 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, 11, 12, 12, and yeah, yes, some fancy dates that can be a promo. And yeah, if the traffic goes up and also the masternodes are getting busy also, and the replication can be lag and can be slower. And the bad thing is when the replication delay, Magento read the database, read the data from the node slave, and uh, the data is not replicated yet. And yeah, you know what happened in the website, so you cannot see the data yet because the data is not replicated yet. And unfortunately, the page already cached, and okay, and problems goes anywhere. And this is a very long journey to troubleshoot this kind of stuff. The next things to consider is horizontal scaling. At the time is not the wise option because like I said before, that the Magento itself are not really supporting the multi-master database at the time. So yeah, maybe it's possible with effort from the coding sides, but yeah, if it's not possible, then it's not wise option because you really need to take care your database really careful not to let it down. So we talk about the split database in the recent Magento version. It's very thrilled to me. It's a very nice topic. It's a very challenging because Magento it's already able to split database, which means split the load of the database itself. Magento will split the database into 3 master databases. So the first is main application. It contains of a lot of tables, hundreds of tables. The second master database is a database for checkout or quotes database. Let's say it's quote database. And the third master database will be a sales database. So yeah, these 3 main databases can be split into 3 databases in Magento. What I know is 2.3 support this. Maybe, I don't know with 2.2, but 2.3 and also obviously the latest 2.4 are supporting this. But please bear in mind, I mean, please take a note that these features are only available in a Magento Commerce, which is yeah, equal with Magento Enterprise. If we use a Magento open source or Magento community, we cannot split the database yet. Yeah, I mean, why do we need to split the database if the site doesn't have that much of SKU and transaction, right? So if you have already more than, yeah, let's say 100,000 SKUs or more than 20,000 SKUs, just go to the higher level of the Magento itself. It will help a lot. So the possible approach for splitting the database to split the load of the database is I found 2 approaches. So the first is split by host. This means the 3 master database are stored in the single dedicated database servers. So we have 3 machines acting as database servers. In that machine contains of a single database of main database, and the second machine contains of checkout database, and the third machine contains of sales database. That's what I call the split by host per node per master database. The second approach is a split by database schema. So this is one that Magento actually explained in high level on their dev docs. You can find in the official Magento dev docs. So split by database schemas is actually main database, checkout database, and sales database are stored in the single master nodes, but with the different database name or database schema. This is the overview of first approach regarding the dedicated master node. What I said before, what I explained before, that we have 3 master database. Let's call it the main application database. We call it Magento_main. And the second one, M2 quote, and the third one, M2 cells. Its master node has its own slave nodes. Okay, and each slave node are possible to have their own node itself. So this is what I call the cascading replication in MySQL in a database. This is amazing scalability in Magento regarding database, which is already the future steps of the database scaling in Magento, because we can even put 3 master database in the different nodes, and each nodes can be scaled widely. And of course, it will cost a lot of money, because a single database in a single machine. But the fact that Magento can scale this wide, it's already big win, and it's amazing. So the next is how to configure the checkout database and sales database. We can see that this actually a comment from Magento CLI. The thing that we have to see here is the host parameter and the DB name parameter. So if we see the host parameter, we can see the DB checkout.local, and the second host is DB sales.local, which is, these nodes are actually dedicated servers for themselves. So it's very cool. This one, the compact and achieved of recommended database scaling in Magento recently. I mean, yeah, we can start from here. So the scenario is all split database in one master node. So you can see on the diagram that we have node 1. Let's say node 1 is database servers, contains of 3 databases: main databases, Magento_main, M2 quote database, and M2 cells database, all separated but all stored in same machine. So master node has a slave node, contains of 3 splitted database inside it as well. We call it node 2. So node 2 is the slave nodes of the Magento masters database. It contains all the 3 master database also. And node 3 is a lower latency slave nodes, which is this is the nodes that replicated from node 2. And usually this kind of nodes is used for analytical or reporting services, or for any third party that want to connect to our database, only reading and feeding the data, we can connect to this lower latency slave nodes. Why I introduce this kind of cascading replication? Yeah, because if we scale slave nodes attached to single master database, then the replication will be lag. The master will be abused, and the performance will impact the website. And yeah, you know, it's like a domino effect. But by doing the cascading replication, we can choose which database that safe to be split. And this is the configuration, same as before. This is the result of the split database. This is Magento default. We don't install the extensions or anything related to the third-party modules. So this is, let's call it a Magento vanilla installation, and we split the database, and the tables look like this on each database. So Magento main contains of 369 tables, M2 quote contains of 11 tables, while M2 cells contain of 55 tables. And there are tables that must have in each database, but not limited to this list. Is core config data must be located in this Magento main. You have to check and verify it yourself. If there's no core config data, then installation is broken. In the quotation database, you should have quote underscore address and quote underscore item table. In the sales database, you should have, you must have, not should, a sales order address, sales order item, and sales order payment tables. So you have to verify these tables in each database if we split the database to split the Magento load itself. Yeah, the next is environment configuration. In Magento 2, we introduced env.php configuration instead of local.xml in the previous Magento 1.x. In the env.php, it's more rich and it's really able to change configuration from this file. And I only copying the database part of the configuration. We can see that on the left side of the table, it's a master nodes configuration. And on the right side, it's a slave nodes configuration. So actually, we really able to define our database nodes, which one should using the master and which one should using the slave. And this Magento doesn't care how many slaves that we have, as long as we can maintain the database service itself. This is the next step of the database scaling in Magento. So it's widen, it's high availability, which current Magento scalability in Magento 2.3 and 2.4. We can even install multiple Magentos, and we can implement the master replication, which is each masters contains of 3 splitted database, and each masters are contained of slaves also, and slaves can be replicated into another slaves for analytical stuff. And this is already a big, and yeah, I think we engineers and even users know that we have Magento have a very heavy load of queries and a lot of queries that and a lot of joins and so many queries that maybe can makes the master nodes sad. But by scaling the Magento database, the slave, the master nodes will be happy again. They will be happy serving the data. They will be happy serving the performance. So this is the idea and how to widen the scaling database in Magento. So all Magento installations connected to master nodes, and these 2 master nodes are actually have some things like VRRP protocol or keep alive, and they own their they hold their own virtual IP or floating IP. So Magento only knows the floating IP, not the IP of the machines itself. This floating IP will route the query traffic from Magento to the database, and they will choose. They should write to which database nodes, some things like that. So this is how to achieve master replication and high availability, which is it's very supported by Magento. It's amazing. And yeah, the slaves are being replicated from master, and the third slave also can be replicated from the second slave. It's already wide. It's already achieved the horizontal scaling of the database, which is, if we talk about horizontal, that's mean it's a high availability. High availability can be achieved with this. So what's if we don't want to implement master-master replication? How can we achieve the high availability? Okay, so let's say before we have this kind of availability, and now we only have 3 nodes. It's okay. I mean, it's like, let's say if the node 1 is broken or down or anything happened with the master nodes, it's okay. I mean, we can always put the Magento sites into maintenance mode if we implement the front page or front end varnish cache. We can always serve the stale mode of the Magento itself, so the site is actually still serving the content of the catalogs, and then we can promote the node 2, promote the slave nodes as a master. And it's, of course, it's a required database administrator or system administrator skill, but it's really doable. I did it in the past. And it's amazing. And what happened to the node 1 that broke? Yeah, we can rebuild them. We can rebuild the data and then put them on the bottom of the node 3. So node 2 become the master databases. Node 3 become the first level slave replication, and the node 1, which is used to be the master nodes, become the become the second slave lower latency database. So it's fine. I mean, it's doable. Yeah, it's doable. So this is one of the example that I did in the past with various e-commerce sites, not limited to Magento. It's cascading replication, which is, yeah, it's really, really helpful, and it can serve so many traffic. How many? I mean, I can maybe a billions page view, millions transactions. And Magento is getting there. I mean, yeah, they know what to do, and I'm really thrilled and interested with this kind of scalability with Magento. I make a quick reminder regarding horizontal scaling in Magento. So the first thing is the database failover is not handled by Magento itself yet. So we still need a human. We still need a engineer to this kind of activity to do the failover itself, because yeah, maybe we'll never know if Magento can handle this kind of stuff yet. That's why I introduced the VRRP protocol in the master replication, so we can achieve the availability of the database without Magento. The second is doubling. Doubling the servers doesn't mean we can avoid deadlock instantly automatically. So deadlock is actually it's like a ghost for the Magento users. Everybody knows deadlock, I think. Yeah, it's because the database itself. I mean, doubling the servers doesn't mean deadlock are disappear. No, we still have to tune the database. We have to check the queries. We have to dig down the log, and we have to still improve the queries itself. So it's still required again an engineer to do this. And the third is mind the number of replication slave, because lower latency replica is one of the solution, if not clustering. Yeah, like what I said, master, don't abuse master by attaching more than 1 or 2 slaves into it, because it will slowing down. Glitch will happen randomly in the master node, and that's very dangerous. And the last is env.php file must be well maintained or always synced across the Magento installation. The logic is if we scale the database, means we scale the Magento installation also. So we will have more than 2 Magento installation in this case. So the env.php file must be synced across the servers. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for your attention, for your time. Time for question answer, and yeah, you can always contact me here, and slides can be downloaded if you want to. Yeah, okay, Mbak Putri.
Thank you, Mas Mirasz. Always, always awesome, always awesome. Okay, just a quick. We have some question. I think more questions. If you can see on the Q&A tab, but I already paste on the chat if you want to see. Which one do you prefer, Mas? I think there are 4 questions. The first one, when do you need to scale database? Any threshold, maybe 1 million SKUs or X number of orders, something like that. What's busy look like, Mas?
Okay, how many SKUs? Okay, for if this is for example, yeah, from my experience, if your site have more than 20,000 SKUs, it's time for us to scale the database. I mean, doesn't always have to start horizontally, but it's time to take care of your database. So 20,000 SKUs, but regarding number of orders, it's really variable. It really depends because yeah, I think the subject is the SKUs. The first thing is the SKUs numbers. Yeah. I hope that this answers your question.
Okay. The next.
Next.
As you know, Magento 2.2 has serious bug related to temporary table, such as search underscore temp underscore asterisk. Have you experienced such a situation, Mas?
Yes, and try to move your search catalog search. Try to move your catalog search to Elasticsearch.
Okay. How do you deal
Yeah,
with?
I mean, yeah, the temporary tables is created because of regardless indexing. It's also generating the catalog itself. So when we counting on database to search the catalog, that's not a good idea. I mean, Magento already introduced Solr in the past, and now Elasticsearch. Then start moving to Elasticsearch. It's full text table, so it's nice for search.
Okay. Next. What should to tweak in my SQL configuration to have reliable performance?
Okay, this is interesting. I mean, this is very unique. I mean, same company, different company, different websites have a different way of tweaking. But my experience says that always start from the default configuration and always knows what did you modified in your MySQL configuration. So how to start tweaking the MySQL configuration is always enable query cache. And there's actually a lot. There's some things of logging. You don't have to log all the statements. You only have to log the error only and slow query. And you have to define also. And the definition of slow query should be defined together with the team. For example, not one website doesn't mind if the query takes more than 5 seconds to complete the request, but another company, another website, they want as fast as possible. So always go through that kind of activity. Don't log too much on the disk. But I have advice or the shortcut. Host your database in the cloud service. It's like AWS or GCP, AliCloud, because you don't have to deal with this kind of performance. It's already, I mean, it's built in, tweaked already. So yeah, that's the shortcut.
Okay. Hopefully that answers the question. So move next. What actually trigger for server to do auto scale? Did the server read the PHP memory to decide when to scale up or down or something else, Mas Mirasz?
Not really. If we talk about the database server, so we have to check our database server's utilizations. It's not related with the PHP itself. PHP will be more consuming memory and CPU by reading the codes. If the codes are very heavy to to read and to process, then it will consume more CPU and memory. But for query, no. The slow query will impact to the PHP. So that's the case. So actually, the slowness of web server is not causing the database server slow, but it's the way the workaround. So works the other way around. The data, because of the slow queries, the PHP utilizations will raise. So yeah, I mean, always double check your database first and do some little bit tweaking regarding cache and log, and let's see again.
Okay, sounds good. Can we apply Magento database with the cluster concept? I don't understand.
Yes, indeed, because cluster is actually on the database side. I mean, there's no dependencies with the Magento installation. Magento only identify the host, the database name, and the username password. But cluster it's really on the database side. So it's a database admin works or sysadmin works have to maintain the availability of the database cluster. So it's doable. It's very doable.
Okay. Oh, ini pertanyaannya panjang. Mas Mirasz, do you have any experience in GraphQL in BG maybe? So the question is related with the GraphQL because now iCube is really deep into the GraphQL, especially PWA. So apakah ada skema server tertentu, topologi tertentu untuk GraphQL, Mas? Seperti API gitu, terus lebih baik adopsi monolith, microservice, atau containerized. I don't know how to pronounce it. Those cases. Well, a lot of, but I can pass.
I think there is no specific configuration for that. The case is actually the technology in the development side are rising very rapid. So that we now have a GraphQL and anything React Native, a PWA, and whatever the name. But actually, the database is still a database. I mean, the master-slave concept, the replication concept, it's already good for starting point for any coding technologies. So, yeah, I think that's the answer. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's the correct answer. Okay,
don't be a professional overthinker.
Good. Okay, the last but not least, Mas Andrea Sunguni, is it possible to split the catalog product database?
Sorry?
Is it possible to split the catalog product database? So, I mean, because the product catalog is really huge, so maybe Mas Anggun would like to split the catalog product only.
I don't think so for now. But
Okay.
but the case is if the catalog product is really your bottleneck, then we can start clustering the catalog product database.
Clustering, right? Not splitting the database, but only clustering. Clustering
yeah,
is it?
Splitting.
Okay. Okay, sounds good, Mas Mirasz. As I said, always awesome. Very, very good presentation. Appreciate it. Hopefully can give everyone in here, inspiring everyone and answer all the questions. And don't worry if you still have any question, please reach out, Mas Mirasz. I forgot your email, but we can remind your email again later. Yeah. So stay healthy, Mas Mirasz. Hopefully we can see you on the next.
See you. Thank you,
See you
Mbak
the next
Putri
event.
and
Thank you.
Magento. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good afternoon.